Lynn, and today we are going to do something a little bit different. We're going to show you the Twirling star block, and it makes this great quilt.
It is. It's a really attractive star, and it uses our 12-inch cube and our companion set. And one of the nice things about this is, I don't know about you, I've been sewing pretty much since I could hold a needle in my hand. But sometimes I like to set myself up for a challenge, Lynn. Sometimes I like to do something that I know is going to be a little bit out of my wheelhouse, a little bit not my normal piecing. And this has a lot of Y seams in it, and so this is a great project for that. If you're feeling like you kind of want to shake it up, do something a little different, this would be a great project to take on.
I agree with you. It's pretty easy other than the Y seams. We've just got the 2 dies. We've got the 3.5-inch square from the Qube, and then the chisel from the companion set. And so there aren't a lot of different pieces in here. It's just the sewing part of it.
And if you are a novice to the Y seam, this is a great way to get started. It is working with a little bit bigger pieces with our 12-inch cube. And I think it's a pretty forgiving. It's going to give you plenty of practice, but it's a pretty easy one to do. So I think this is a really good one to get started with. The key that we're going to show you is that you're going to mark that 1/4 inch, and that really is going to be your key. But to start with, we're going to get a great cut, right?
That's right. So, okay, so let's show how to cut the chisels. Now, the chisel is a directional shape, so that means that it depends, you want to make sure that whether you're laying your fabric right side up or right side down as you're cutting it.
Right, so do what I have trouble doing sometimes and read your directions because it is going to make a difference. And again, this would be a great one to do a practice block on. Again, if you're not used to sewing Y seams, cut and sew together one as a sample, maybe out of some old scrap fabric or scrappy or whatever you've got, just to kind of get it under your belt. And then 2, that's going to give you your layout to follow with your following blocks.
Great suggestion. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the chisels.
Let's do that, okay.
All right, and so just want to point out in the block, all of these chisels are in the same direction. So we do know that. And in order to get them in that direction, I just need to lay my fabrics right side down.
Okay.
So I have 4 layers here, and they're all in that same right side down configuration. And then I can cut up to 6 layers with my chisel if I want to cut additional ones and get all of those cut at the same time.
But this is going to give us the start for our center block.
That's right, and I do have it on the fabric is cut on the lengthwise grain.
Really important, yes. And that lengthwise grain is going to go parallel to your lengthwise blades here. So we're not squaring it up with our die, we're actually squaring it up with our shape, and that's a really important tip.
Right, and we did talk about with fan folding versus stacking of your fabric. And fan folding in this case is not a great idea.
Right, because when you fan fold, you end up with half of your fabric facing up and half facing down. For this, we do need it all facing down, so we're going to stack.
Right, okay, so just so that we've shared that tip with you. Okay, so just really quickly, I'm going to run the chisels through our Go cutter. Now this would also be compatible with our Go Big cutter.
Right, but the 12-inch cube does have shapes that won't fit in the Go Baby.
Right. So keep that in mind.
Okay,
and then there we've got our chisels.
Just that fast, they've got our dog-eared corners to help show us our 1/4 inch seam allowance. We've got some already cut and marked here. So what we've done, and you're going to see if I hold these up for you, we've marked our 1/4 inch spot. Now, I've used a Sharpie. You're not going to want to do that at home. You're going to want to use a fabric marker that'll go away. But we use this so that you could see it a little better. So your first step is going to be to put 2 of these chisels together, and I'm going to go ahead and sew one. Now when we're getting ready to do our Y seams, the reason we've got that dot is we got to stop sewing when we get there. So, and I'm just going to whip this together real quick so we can show people. And when I stop there at that spot, and I've got a clear foot so it helps me see where my spot is, I'm going to back it up and cut it off. Okay. So now I'm just going to real quick, you see I've stopped and done a back stitch right there. I'm going to set this, press it open real quick. And our next, so we'd put together our green pieces like this for this block. Then we'd go ahead and put two of them together for the center star, right?
That's right, yes.
Okay. Then we're going to go around the block with our background pieces.
Right, and this part is, the prepping of this part is pretty easy. You're just sewing the end of that chisel onto that 3.5-inch square.
Right, and I've got one here that we've done, and I've got ready to go onto this piece. And again, we've marked our little 1/4 inch there. So we are going to start with the shorter end. And when we put this together, you're going to see our dog-ear corners are going to line up. And again, our little stop point there is going to come in really handy for us. So we're going to start and sew towards that dot. And again, we're going to stop out there. We're going to go ahead, give ourselves a little back stitch when we get to that point. And when you get there, it's going to be really obvious what you're doing because you've got your seam there as well. And the thing that's so nice about our dies is that it's going to line us up right there, Lynn. It's going to give us exactly with that dog-ear corner. It really helps us get started. It really sets us up for success with this, I think.
And this one, we're using a standard 1/4 inch seam.
Right. So we've sewed in, I stopped, I did my back stitch. Now what I'm going to do is flip around, and now I'm going to be doing this one. And again, I'm going to sew down towards my dot. I have lined this up with my dog-ear corner again. You kind of see it there.
Yep. And you could put a pin in there if you wanted to.
You could put a pin in there, and I am a notorious pinner. I started with garment sewing, and I think that those of us that started with garment sewing are definitely pinners versus people that have always been quilters. They don't tend to pin as much, I've noticed.
It slows the whole process down.
It does, it does. Now the other thing I'm going to do, and you can kind of see I'm pulling this away. I don't want to get any of my extra fabric in my seam because I want to sew and not unsew as much as possible. And I'm going to slow down.
Yeah, these types of techniques, it's not a race. So you definitely want to keep that in mind.
Not a race, it's a marathon, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
yes.
So then when I've got this down, again, I've stopped and backed up. And when I open it up, it's going to open right up. And really, the fabric is almost going to just show you how it wants to be pressed, Lynn.
Right, right. I see that.
It's going to press open just like this. And you can see when we turn it around, we've sewn up, we've got that perfect little Y seam, and really, it was pretty quick and easy.
Yes.
So it's as they say, rinse and repeat. You're going to make this a lot of times. You're going to get some great practice. You're going to be a real pro at those Y seams by the time you're done with this project.
Absolutely. And once you have the blocks, the Twirling Stars blocks put together, the rest of it is pretty easy.
It really is. It's going to be basic blocks going together. You're going to get a great look, and I think we all like our star blocks, no matter which kind they are.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you. You made that look so easy. I think that I'm really excited. I'll have to try this one myself.
Okay.
I'm up for a challenge.
Very
and
good.
hopefully you are as well. You can download this pattern at AccuQuilt.com.
We hope to see some of your inspiration there on our ideas page, and we have more inspiration for you on Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well.
At AccuQuilt, we help you cut time
So you can quilt more.